Hey, it's your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We're focusing in a little bit more in depth at understanding how one's personal boundaries get violated through covert narcissistic abuse. A covert narcissist is an individual who, unbeknownst to an individual in the formation of their relationship, had encountered an individual who essentially enamored them, had swept them off of their feet, someone who had become irresistibly attractive to them. And the irresistible attraction oftentimes is set up because that individual has certain qualities, demeanor, values, or the way that they speak that is a compliment to them. And so oftentimes the covert narcissist, being of very few words, perhaps even a very weak demeanor or meek demeanor, not necessarily weak, but more meek demeanor, more laid back, so to speak, will attract an individual who is a complement to that. So just as the yin is to the yang, the aggressive to the passive, the proactive to the recessive, the dominant to the yielding, we see that that dynamic sort of plays. So, and it keeps the relationship moving in the beginning. So, as you know, with there's a tendency for opposites to have this attraction, and it tends to work. It tends to function. And as you can understand, the covert narcissist, because of they have a sense of self-importance. So superiority is more manifested in more self-importance than being superior per se. It's just a heightened sense of self-importance, coupled with a lack of empathy, creates a situation or a relationship foundation that is basically established on the grounds where the individual who they are attracted to is going to complement or really make up for their inadequacy, their shortcomings, or really just what they don't want to do, what they don't want to have developed within themselves due to uncomfortable, they feel insecure, they just don't want to do the personal work. So the covert narcissist, because of their heightened sense of self-importance, will attract an individual who's a real go-getter, very strong, very resilient sort of individual who oftentimes will take on quite a bit. And within this, in the beginning, I would say it's a very beautiful relationship. It's the strong and silent man with the strong and vibrant woman, and you see this, as a very successful pattern. But really, as time goes on, there becomes an evolution, and the boundaries of the codependent or the supply or the other, the individual who is kind of matched or coupled or paired with this narcissist or this individual who's operating by really profound self-importance as coupled with a lack of empathy. So everybody has a self-importance that you have to be important to yourself at some degree, but we're talking about an excessive degree of self-importance where it's really all about them, and they are then manipulative, and it can become very destructive, or really where they then take advantage of others. So the taking advantage of others in the covert narcissist takes shape in many different ways, and particularly that of being overly responsible, overly accountable in the relationship, while the covert narcissist basically gets to live comfortably in their self-centered ways. And so the boundaries become violated within an individual really are over time, where the boundaries between what one wants, feels that they deserve, and need to kind of put a barrier around, needs to kind of put a fence around. You need to erect, a boundary is a place, it's a sense of limitation. It's a sense of reaching one's limits or acknowledging and embracing one's limits, because it's in the discipline of embracing one's limits that you're able to better define yourself and better to act and live and grow harmoniously. So without boundaries, it's just everything is ruleless. Everything is unruly. Everything then becomes chaos if there's no boundaries. And so there's a boundary violation that occurs within a covert narcissist relationship with their spouse, other, or coworker, where this then they are then taking on roles that are larger than life or larger perhaps than they can handle. And it might push them to grow, yes, but oftentimes it can be to the exhaustion, unhappiness, unfulfillment of that individual's life who is living married to or working with a covert narcissist. So, or business partner or something of that nature. So, the boundary violation can take form in many respects. So, it's important for you to understand how this takes place and what it feels like so you can know what your true boundaries should be, because a lot of people don't have a sense of boundaries. They don't know when they're pushing past their boundaries or when their boundaries are being violated. So boundaries are being violated when you're excessively called on to do too much. So it's a disrespect of your human limitations. So if you have to over obligate yourself, do too much around the house for the relationship, too much of the talking, too much of the bill pays, too much, there's an excess that tends to go on and violates people's boundaries or their healthy sense of limitations. Now, because the narcissist, oftentimes they have boundless feelings of success or things of that nature, it kind of creates this, we have no boundaries, we're oceanic sort of relationship. But until the boundaries are enforced and limits are acknowledged and embraced and seen as an okay thing and not a sign of weakness, that the boundaries will then be established and honored, and it will be really respected, and then therefore really help to grow that individual. Without boundaries, one is your personality, your energy is just open to anything and everything. So without boundaries, you can't say no. Without boundaries, you can't have a sense of knowing where you end and where you begin and where you end. Without boundaries, one does not know, how to say no, or when one is over obligating, when one is asked to do too much, when one is belayed to in too much intimidation, when one is spoken down to, chronically criticized. This is a violation of a boundary. When one is told that they, should be quiet, or that their viewpoints are worthless, that is a boundary violation. Soldiers work very hard to keep our country, our countries for freedom of speech. And, to be told that your opinion does not matter or your input does not matter is a violation of your boundary. Boundary violations can occur physically as well, where one will, in a relationship, take over all of one's space, won't allow one to decorate, won't allow one to have certain types of food, won't allow one to wear certain types of clothes or have their hair a specific way. A lot of these are control or mechanisms that really are up to your own free will, and it's a violation of your free will and a violation of your boundaries, where you exist and function as a person, which are then violated and then therefore not able to be lived within. And so without that, you're not able to really know where you have your place. You feel like you're just constantly at the mercy of this narcissist. You're constantly at the mercy of these others. And that is because of the experience of boundary violation. Boundaries erected look like, no, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not taking that right now. No, I'm not giving up my day to do this and this and this. Yes, I feel this way. This is this is what I value, and this is what I stand for. I want to work for, certain values. Like, let's say you have a love of nature or ecology or recycling or eating healthy. These types of things that you believe in and that are beneficial to you. these sorts of things that you have to live and be able to express in your life. So when you're not able to express these basic values, or who you have as a friend without being belittled or shamed, the shaming is a boundary violation. It's basically saying you don't have the right to exist. You don't have the right to speak up. You don't have the right, which is, again, it's a narcissistic individual who is going to look to eradicate those boundaries and that normal, natural self-protection, which one should learn and establish and experience. It's a very experiential thing, experience in life. So, early in life, I mean, when you're, it's just like you're working through all these stages, developmental stages as children, this is my toy, this is your sister's toy, we're going to take care of this for you, this belongs to you, we're going to take care of it, this is your sister's, so you've got this, boundary creation and identity, this is yours, you can have this, this is your, you are good at piano, you are good at dance, so-and-so is good at football, so-and-so is good at piano. Seeing your boundaries, but allowing to flourish within your own and not having to criticize or be criticized by another in order to exist. So, this is very interesting to see that the narcissist will work to manipulate by eradicating those boundaries. So not allowing you to exist within your own self-limitations. So be very careful of your own tendency to over-obligate, to overgive, overindulge, and pacify others, because that's all feeding into the boundary violation, and it's keeping those boundaries in place, and chances are you're not able to enforce it because of a feeling of guilt, fear, or obligation. So get used to saying no. Get used to being comfortable saying no. Get used to having your own space. Get used to owning your own opinions. Get used to acting on your own goals and objectives and not as they relate or react to the narcissist. It is very important for you to experience that and being able to be supported and furthermore pursue those goals, objectives, wishes, and desires that are unique to you that the narcissist would hitherto keep you separate from in order to satisfy their own narcissistic needs. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.